Welcome to The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 233, Intuition and the Holidays. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to The Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm the host, and I'm here today in 818 Studios with my producer.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dave Croft, and welcome back to another episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 233. As always, I want to welcome you to a brand new week, to a brand new month. So happy that you have decided to spend part of your day here with us today.
Dave, I want a sound effect where you say show 233. I want it to go boom.
Oh, 233, boom, like something like that. All right, okay, let me make a note of that.
Well, even though we are talking about the spiritual journey and the soul all the time, I realized recently maybe I don't always let my full personality shine. on this show. And sometimes I can get over serious because I want so much to help people, on the journey. So anyway, maybe I'll branch out a little bit.
Absolutely.
And give us the show title again, Dave.
Yeah, the show title for today is Intuition and the Holidays. That is Intuition and I always have to say it twice.
At least.
Intuition and the Holidays.
Intuition and the holidays. And I'm feeling in the holiday spirit this year. Something about Orlando actually having a season this year other than hot has been kind of fun. And, for me, the holidays are a real special time. And I've worked very hard over the years to make them special again because I haven't always felt that way. And, Dave, you and I have talked that, losing parents and, but both of us have experienced loss of our parents, Shannon's parents, my mom, so the holidays can sometimes be times of grief and reminders of times past. But, I just want to encourage all of our listeners to know if that's what's happening this season, it does get better.
Yeah.
And you just have to be with wherever you are, in that, because sometimes the grief is a gift in a way because it sweetens the memories. It helps us focus on what was good and what was happy about it,
It's like the, I can't remember if we've talked about this before, but on the Marvel show, this has a point. On the Marvel show WandaVision, which deals a lot with grief and how to cope with that and the emotional weight and what that, anyway.
Yes.
So but there's a line by one of the characters, that when he says, it's Vision to Wanda, says, "What is grief if not love persevering?"
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
What is grief if not love persevering? So when we come into the holidays, and I'm noticing it this year because this is now our third Christmas without Larry.
Yeah.
And
wow,
so,
is it already? Yeah.
Yep. And so we're noticing that things are just shifting a little bit more Christmas music, a little less sadness, and a little more remembering, like, when we're thinking back to things that we would have done together, and Larry being there isn't as painful, or rather Larry not being there.
Yeah, exactly. It is important. And the thing that I think we always come back to on the show is it is your individual spiritual journey. And so the way you're experiencing the holidays doesn't have to be what I'm doing. Doesn't have to be what Dave's doing. We're just sharing our experience. Well, in the 12 steps, it says we share our experience, strength, and hope. So in hopes that it will help you or inform your journey in some way. So we're with you in the holidays. We're having our own experiences. I'm having I had a new experience this year with family coming in from out of town for Thanksgiving. And that's a real gift to me. And that's never in my life happened. I've never had someone visit me for the holidays. So that was a real gift. And it's somebody I love dearly, my sister and her husband, and we connect well. And her husband's a musician, and we play and sing and laugh. He's really funny, highly spiritual, slightly different journey from mine. But I have a great deal of respect for his love for God. And, and it's supported my sister on her journey. So anyway, yeah, good times. And coming into Christmas, I really try to practice this every year. And I also want you to know, if you don't celebrate Christmas, we still love you and bless you, friend. That's no big deal. But for me, around Christmas, it's about, it is a season of birth. It's a season of light. Many years ago, I spoke at a Jewish temple, and it was Temple Shir Shalom in Orlando. And she said, well, in Hanukkah, we celebrate a season of light. And I said, well, that's what we celebrate too. And so then when she introduced me, the cantor there, she said, well, I don't know how you can compare candles to the Savior of the world, but we're going to try. So we had a good time with that. And I talked about the light within and the light of God. And we connected on that point. So, for me, the season is always a time of going inward. And it's funny because in the world at large, it's about what you get. It's about decorating your home. And actually, I love all those parts. And this year, for the very first time, I got a Christmas shower curtain. I don't know. I was laughing at myself. I was like, I have turned into, what's her name? Martha Stewart this Christmas. But I'm really enjoying that this year. So I love the outer aspect. When we were little, we would always go cut our own tree down. Like the idea of buying a Christmas tree. I mean, why buy a Christmas tree? We can just go down to the railroad track or back in the woods and go on down. I'm sure it's illegal on the railroad track.
I'm sure it is.
But who cares? Yeah, exactly. So, but for me, there's a real inward process, even though there's all the outer stuff. And so my inward process is largely about working deeply with my intuition. It's also about asking what is trying to be born in me. What newness, what goodness. And anyone who's listened to the show very long knows I'm about, moving forward, setting goals, living your purpose, having that vision for your life. And this year, really, for me, it's about being here now. Because what I'm discovering is the more present I am, those next steps for my vision and goals are made manifest. So I'm not changing any of that. I love to still talk about vision, goals, and all of that. But my approach is slightly different this year. And I'm working more deeply with my intuition. And that's in our title for today. Give it to me one more time, Dave.
Intuition and the holidays.
Right. Intuition and the holidays. I came up with it so early this morning that I had to have a reminder of the exact title. But what is your intuition? So let's talk about that. Your intuition is what you know that's beyond the conscious mind, right? It's beyond the conscious mind. I'm sure as you're listening, you're thinking, oh, well, so sometimes it's called your sixth sense, not like the movie I See Dead People, but your sixth sense. It's like, in other words, it's called the sixth sense because it's not based necessarily in the five senses, right? So in other words, it's a different kind of awareness that's not in the physical. It's a different kind of awareness. So when I'm speaking of intuition, what I'm talking about is soul knowing. Soul knowing. And we don't talk a lot about it on the show. We've talked about observer self. We've talked about listening to your inner guidance. And so those are all aspects of the intuitive self. Yeah, aspects of the intuition. But just simply realizing there's an aspect to you that is beyond the five senses is pretty important as you develop on the spiritual journey. So one of the teachings you've heard me mention is that we've been here in many lifetimes. And I think that's important relating to the intuition because we can only get so far in the intellectual mind. So what I'm speaking of is past the mind, greater than the mind. And so what I've noticed when there are immature souls here on planet Earth, they just want all the toys they can get. The one with the most toys wins. We call this a young soul or an immature soul. Well, and all of us have heard right of an old soul. You say, oh, that's an old soul. And what that really means is that's somebody who's been here many, many times. In other words, they have a wisdom beyond their physical earth years. I want to just break that down. It's probably obvious. But if there are old souls, then what are young souls? Well, yeah, they're more rooted in the lower desires. They're more rooted in the lower desires of what can I get? What can I own? What can I have? Which, of course, all of these are statements of a 2-year-old, right? And we have adults running around in adult bodies acting like 2-year-olds. It's because their soul has not been here a lot. Their soul is new on planet Earth, and they're just figuring it out. So it helps me have a lot of compassion when I see people just trying to get stuff, and that trying to be enough and bigger jobs and more expensive this and that. And there's nothing wrong with great jobs and making money and wonderful cars and boats. I love all that stuff myself. But we don't source in that as we start to develop on the journey. And we start to realize, oh, just my intellect is not enough. This is not where I want to live from. And so we start to contact our soul. But I think it happens after many, many lifetimes of coming to planet Earth and dealing with the intellect and dealing with the kind of undeveloped spiritual self, right? Which is your soul. So the undeveloped or the young soul doesn't know anything about intuition. They just do whatever they want when they want. They take what they want. This is the behavior of a dictator. Have you ever seen 2-year-olds run the whole household? No, I don't want to do it. So this is the behavior of a young soul. Yeah. So just, tap into that. Think about that. I know you're thinking of it as I'm saying it. And so your process this holiday season, simply being aware that you have intuition, simply being aware that there is a sixth sense to you, you're going to start hearing it even more. But what I notice about people who are, who use their intuition a lot, they tend to be able to get present pretty quickly to what's happening and tap into that inner voice. So you hear me talk about so much about getting quiet and having a daily practice and, time in the morning or doing your morning pages. Well, the reason I'm talking about that is that discipline prepares you for hearing the inner voice of your soul. It will guide you on your spiritual journey, in a way that your senses are not equipped to do. Because a lot of times at the level of the mind, things can look good, but then when you tap in at the level of the soul, you go, something's off here. No. Right. And so when you're working with your intuition on a regular basis, you're going to start to see there's a certain way you receive information. For instance, I have a friend who, anytime she's tapping into her intuition, she's like, oh, I know that is mine to do. She said, I know this doesn't make sense, but I know I'm supposed to take this job. Like, I know it's less money. It looks weird, but I know I'm supposed to do it. I said, I trust that. Anytime you say that, I trust that. Or I know I'm supposed to take this trip to see my family. I know I'm supposed to do that. So that is her, with her, it's an inner knowing. There's usually knowers, feelers, and seers. And there's even hearers, right? That's clairaudient, right? Right? There's knowers, hearers, seers. In other words, there is this relationship with this inner voice. Some people just have this sense. They say, oh, I feel it in my gut. I know it's mine to do, right? So that's the way some people experience it. Well, what I like to do for the holiday season is apply it to the various activities I have going on. And I'm sure you all are like me at the holiday season. It seems like every day the commitment increases. You know, I have to do this, I have to do that. Oh, I have 3 other how did I get 3 other things on my calendar? Oh my gosh, I forgot those people in the office. I got to go shopping. I got to do this. I got to do that. My wife said this, my partner said that, my husband said this. Oh, I got to go get them that. So I like to apply the intuition to what is mine to do right now. And of course, this is a journey. This is a process. And this would be a wonderful, wonderful season to practice. Because, if you use it with where am I supposed to go next? Where am I supposed to buy this gift? Nobody's going to get hurt in the process. Sometimes people start working with their intuition in ways that are like too big and too impactful in their lives. I'm like, no, don't leave your job of 30 years just yet. Let's practice. Let's practice using the intuition. Because sometimes what we can do is say it's the intuition and we're just spiritualizing what our ego wants. Yeah. So what is the intuition? I want to say it again. It is beyond the conscious mind. In other words, you couldn't necessarily say, I'm going to add up 1, 2, 3, and 4 and know what is next. But there's this inner knowing that's beyond the mind. And, there's something about the way I was raised, even though my family, had never heard of some of the teachings, I talk about, and even though my dad rarely attended church. And when he did, he always wanted the talk to be less and music to be more. But he instilled in me this idea that I knew what was mine to do. Like I remember when I was, I had gotten this guidance. I was a sophomore in high school, and a good friend of mine played in the Atlanta Symphony. I say a good friend. She was the friend of my band director, and she had played with our band at school. And I got to know her because she was a violinist. My sister was a violinist, and my brother was friends with the band director. So we all kind of knew each other. And I became her friend, and she was an incredible violinist. She was first violin in Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. And I also ushered at the symphony every week as a high schooler. I would ride the subway down and usher for the concerts and everything. So I got to know her really well. And her parents lived out in Seattle. Are you staying with me so far? It's a convoluted story. Her parents lived out in Seattle, even though she played in the orchestra in Atlanta. And one time she said, I would love for you to meet my family. You're like a younger sister. And she had a younger sister too, who was a trumpet player. I was like, oh, I'd love to meet them all. Yes, of course. And as I was thinking about this trip, I thought, I wonder if there are any colleges out there I might look at. Just like out of the blue. It's the weirdest kind of thing. And so I went to the guidance counselor at school. And I said, are there any schools in Seattle? She said, what do you mean, colleges? And I said, yeah, I'm interested in going to college, even though nobody in my family had graduated college. I said, I'm really interested in going to college. And she said, oh, yes. And she said, there are 2 great Christian schools, because, I went to a Christian high school, Pacific Lutheran University, PLU, or SPU, Seattle Pacific University. Well, my friend and I went to Seattle. I called the schools, and I was talking to her mom right after we landed about the schools. And she said, well, I went to SPU. I said, you did? And she goes, yeah. Why don't we take you over there so you can see the campus? And while we were there, I was able to watch a conducting class, which of course was something I was already doing. Anyway, all this to say, of course, I was totally sold on the school, but I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. Well, I got home and I said to my dad, I'm going to apply for Seattle Pacific. He said, honey, I think you should do that. I said, but I'm only going to be gone 2 years. He said, no, you're not. He goes, you're going to go to school and you're never coming home. I said, really? And that's, of course, what I did. But when I was about to apply, I said, I don't know. Should I do it? He said, honey, you know what's yours to do. I think you should, don't listen to what anybody says. You know what's yours to do. And I thought, I am going to apply. Well, then, of course, I got this great offer back. Not only did I get a grant and a great scholarship, I also worked all the way through college. There was a work program. I worked in the music department. I mean, basically, they paid me to be a music student. I had a little bit of debt, $7,000 only at the end of 4 years, and I paid it off in 2 years after. But what was and I did graduate. I mean, I had honors and all this, I won the high scholarship over the 3 disciplines. I just had an amazing time there. But if my dad, I'm quite sure, if he had not said, right, don't listen to what anybody says, you do what's yours to do, I don't think I would have done it.
You just needed that push.
I needed that push, but he was right. The voice was always there. And actually, it was my dad that taught me about reincarnation the very first time. That's a whole nother show about discovering things in my family lineage about some of these spiritual topics. So I hope you're with me, friends. And I told that whole story because it was the intuitive pieces at every point that kind of moved me forward. First, it was applying. Well, then I got a lot of affirmation, right? And so that's another thing I've noticed with people who tap into their intuition. They look for signs from the universe and trust them. Right? So if we start to move forward on something and we see the universe sending us a sign, we go, oh yeah, that's it. That is it. Right? So there's nothing wrong with looking for a sign. I love to do it because the universe is intimately involved with our lives. And sometimes we follow intuition and our ego wants to attach to what that means. It doesn't always mean what we think. So there is a learning, there is a discipline, but I can tell you it's a lot of fun, especially during the holidays, to follow that intuition in your gift giving or to follow it in your shopping or to follow it in which events you're supposed to go and do. And I guarantee you it'll be a blessing if you do that this holiday. I hope this is making sense, friends, what I'm saying to you. But that intuition, that inner knowing is always with you. We often have heard it called a woman's intuition, but I know everyone has it. I know everyone has it. It's like this inner wisdom, this inner knowing, it goes beyond the mind. So the pieces that are super important, I think, to really, really work with your intuition on a serious and regular basis is you do times of getting present and quiet are pretty much a requirement because you can't really hear the voice of intuition if there's constant input of music, of TV, of stuff, of phones, of games. And I'm right up there with the best of them. I've started a new video game. It's totally addicting. The other day I was like, I am walking through the house with my phone in my hand. Oh my God. Okay. This is a new level. I got to put it down. So times of quiet are going to be a requirement, and as I say, requirement, it's not a pejorative. It's not a negative. But just like making time for yourself, just a little bit every day, just to get quiet and centered. And even that, friends, my intuition is guiding right now. You know how I always talk about the morning pages? I was guided, I don't know 2 weeks ago. Right now, no morning pages. I don't know why. But you know what I've noticed is I'm getting a lot done. And so I don't know if I needed a break. I don't know why. I'm just trusting it. So quiet time to start to hear that voice or be in touch with that feeling or that knowing. And then, the second part is really listening and following that guidance, and take take moments of becoming present, take the opportunity. We have moments of getting present to just get quiet a little bit, just get present. I've really noticed that people who follow their intuition are able to get present pretty quickly. Like, oh, I'm sensing something here, and everything else stops until they're clear. Some of the smartest, most successful people I know do this. And then also, as you receive guidance and start to move forward, look for signs from the universe. Because, friends, God really loves us. And when we start to move forward with a lot of clarity, opportunities open. Opportunities open. And affirmation will come to you. As the affirmation comes to you, you'll be more and more clear, about next steps. So during the holidays, you may apply this in a variety of ways, obviously. The funnest way I do it is with my shopping and gift giving. But I also really apply my intuition in terms of my spiritual work and how I'm to handle certain situations. Like, for instance, one of the things I did for myself this year that I have never, ever done is I took 2 Sundays off in a row from my church ministry. I took the last Sunday in November and the first Sunday in December because I know I'm going to have a real long run of services. And as I was looking at my schedule, I started to feel, man, this is a lot. And it started to feel like a weight rather than a joy. And I thought, what is going on for me about this? I love my job. I love Unity North Tampa. I love the work I get to do there. I'm a little over some of the stuff with the building, but that's called life in any job that you have to deal with things you don't love. The latest was a plumbing problem. So, I'm an overpaid maintenance person right now. But anyway, so stuff happens. But my intuition guiding that has already proven to be an excellent idea. Because you guys may remember from last year that I had the intention of a stress-free holiday. Well, that's continuing. I don't think holidays should be stressful. If they're that stressful, I choose not to do it. I am not going to be a raving maniac simply because it's Christmas. I'm not going into thousands of dollars in debt to get people something they're going to throw away in a year. No, I'm not going to do that. So one of the ways I'm following my intuition is, everything you're hearing, yes, but just what is mine to do this holiday? It's so simple. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. If it's stressful to me, I'm tapping in. So those 2 Sundays I'm taking off in a row, which is like a week and a half, it's probably like a full 10 days off. I've not done that my entire career, but it's like Spirit was saying, your body needs a break, all the driving and such as that. I just need to be home a little bit. I need to be home. I'm not traveling. I just need to be home.
Well, even for us and our own production schedule, we're taking a 3-week break and we're, working on the front end and, doubling up on some recording sessions so that we can just come back on the other side of the new year, really just refreshed and ready to do it. Not that this ever feels, heavy or burden or anything.
But we don't want it to.
Exactly. And we're just making space and, and we've never missed an episode. There's been a brand new episode every Monday for 233 episodes, which is astonishing.
It really is.
Never run a rerun, never run a repeat, which is more of a testament to you and just how much is in you, that you can come in and talk for 30 to 45 minutes every Monday. And so anyway, right. That's a whole other episode. But you're right. You're right about the show. Yes. Yeah. Yes, we did apply that same idea. It's like, well, what would feel good to us? And you were like, well, I could use a couple weeks off. I said, a couple sounds good, maybe even 3. Mm-hmm.
Like that's really, really good. And like you say, we're going to record, the shows are going to be there, but we really want time to be present with our families.
That's right.
Part of what being a minister has taught me, I mean, probably more than anything is Every moment is a gift, and treat it as such, because life is very, very short. And Dave, you and I both know either one of us could die in the next 24 hours, and we have no way of knowing that. I'm not saying I will. I hope I don't. I've got plenty to do, and I'm excited about life, and I think God still needs me on the planet. So, I'm not worried about it, but it's helped me know that every moment is a gift, and I don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
The age of my son, he's 15, and he's not going to be 15 again. As soon as he turns 16, he's got so much going on already, and I want to support his growth, development, and maturity. And I don't want to miss these moments. These are the most important moments. Mm-hmm. A lot of times I hear, parents say, "Oh, my kid doesn't need me anymore at 15. Oh, they need you even more, just in a different way. And I've learned just being present, making great food. I've got a boy making great food, having great snacks.
Yeah. Well, by the way, you want to talk about an old soul. You've got one.
Yeah, totally. Yes. Yep. Yes, exactly. He's older than me, I'm afraid, at times. So I hope this season you'll do this. Just tap into your intuition a little bit. Enjoy it. Play with it. Have fun. See how accurate you can be in your understanding of what this inner sense is telling you. I find that it's a joy to do it. I love to use it in my gift giving. I love to use it in my intuition when I'm, as I said, slating my calendar for the season. And then if something comes up I'm not sure about, or something feels stressful, I really trust that intuition to tell me. Because sometimes, even if it feels a little stressful, I'm going to be guided. Yeah, you need to move forward and do this. And I don't always know why, right? I don't always know why. I just trust that inner voice so much. So, and friends, as you develop your intuition even more, because I'm sure you're already using it, right? I'm not suggesting you're not. But as you develop it even more, you're going to get more and more confident in following that inner voice. I had a situation recently where I was really guided to a direction, guided forward, and then I got a stop, and I knew it was time to stop. So sometimes the guidance forward is simply to get energy moving, right? So that's what I mean. You learn to listen to that voice and follow it. And if it says stop, you stop. If it says move forward, you move forward. And moving with confidence, moving with grace, during the holiday season, and using this intuition during this time, I think will really bless your life and those around you, because you're going to be living from a deeper place. And finally, friends, that's my last point I want to make, that the people I know that live from intuition simply seem to have a deeper awareness of God and life. They just are paying more attention. They are paying more attention to how their behaviors are impacting others. They're seeking to live a good life, a God-centered life. They're seeking to be of service. And this is my hope for you and all our listeners. So I do hope that you and your family have a beautiful holiday season. We will have shows every single week that I know will be lifting you up and supporting your journey this season. And, tell a friend about our show. And I also want to invite you into our campaign, our $9,000 in 90 days. That will really help us. I want to, in the new year, spend a significant amount on advertising and really getting the word out about our show. We're ready for more listeners around the world, and we feel honored that you trust us and that you support us with your giving to this online ministry. So thank you so much for listening, dear friend. We'll see you next week, and blessings on the journey.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2022 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.